The history of humanity that we learn in school seems neat and logical. Great empires replace one another. Technology develops progressively, from primitive tools to the pinnacles of engineering. We read about the construction of the pyramids, the building of the Colosseum, about kings and generals who left their mark in written chronicles. This picture is convenient and understandable, but it is full of blank spots and omissions. What if, beyond the official textbooks, there is another history, no less real but far more mysterious? Its pages are not written in ink on papyrus, but carved in granite and andesite. Scattered across the globe are silent witnesses to this forgotten era, megaliths. These are not just large stones. They are uncomfortable artifacts, structures that challenge our understanding of the past. They are uncomfortable because they question three fundamental things for which official science often has no convincing answers. The first question is how? How could ancient civilizations, which we believe lacked complex technology, quarry, process, and move stone blocks weighing hundreds and sometimes thousands of tons? We are talking about incredibly hard rocks that are difficult to work with even for modern machinery. Yet, these blocks are not just moved, they are joined with microscopic precision to form complex structures. The second question is who? Who were the engineers and builders whose names are not preserved in any source? Often, these megalithic complexes appear long before the rise of the civilizations to which they are attributed, like a foundation upon which our more familiar world was later built. And the third, most important question is why? What was their true purpose? We are told they were tombs, but no remains are found in them. We are told they were temples, but their architecture is unlike anything we know. We are told they were observatories, but their functionality seems far more complex than simple stargazing. These questions turn megaliths from mere tourist attractions into keys to the greatest mystery of our past. They make us wonder, what if ancient people were not primitive ancestors, but heirs to lost knowledge? What if their capabilities exceeded what we are willing to admit? To get closer to the answer, we will embark on a journey to 5 of the most incredible and inexplicable megalithic sites on the planet. Our route will cross continents and eras, and each new stop will plunge us deeper into a sea of questions with no easy answers. We will begin with an object whose mystery lies not so much in its gigantic size, but in its completely incomprehensible shape and purpose. Our journey begins in Japan, in Nara Prefecture, in the small village of Asuka. This region is known for its ancient burial mounds, or kofun, built hundreds of years ago. But among them is a monolith that doesn't fit into any known category. It lies off the beaten tourist path, as if wishing to avoid unwanted attention. Its mystery lies not in its colossal weight, although that is impressive, but in its strange artificial shape, and the complete lack of answers to the main question. Why was it created? Is it part of an ancient mechanism, a forgotten ritual altar, or the hull of a ship that never set sail? In Nara Prefecture, far from the bustling cities, lies this silent witness of the past, known as Masuda no Iwafune, or the stone ship of Masuda. The name was given by local residents, perhaps because of its ship-like shape and its proximity to Lake Masuda, which has long since disappeared. This monolith is a giant granite block carved from a single piece of rock. Its dimensions are astonishing, about 11 meters long, 8 meters wide, and almost 5 meters high. Its weight is estimated to be around 900 tons. Who, and more importantly how, someone managed to process such a massive piece of granite remains a mystery. This stone is incredibly hard, and working it would have been an extremely difficult task, even with modern tools. At first glance, in a region full of ancient burial mounds, another large stone shouldn't be surprising. However, the Masuda ship is not part of any known burial site. Its uniqueness is in the details. The top surface of the stone is perfectly level, with two perfectly square holes carved into it, and a ridge running parallel between them. At the base of the monolith, strange lattice-shaped indentations can be seen, possibly related to the technique used to shape its sides. These features clearly indicate an artificial origin and a deliberate design, but the purpose of this design eludes researchers. There are several theories trying to explain its purpose. Some believe it was intended to be a grand tombstone, but no traces of a tomb or human remains have ever been found nearby. Local legends suggest it was a Buddhist shrine, but the monolith has no resemblance to any known temples or ritual objects. The most intriguing hypothesis connects the structure to astronomy. It has been observed that the ridge on top aligns with a mountain range and the setting sun on a day that, in ancient times, marked the beginning of the agricultural season. This makes it seem like part of a giant calendar. And yet, even this theory doesn't explain all of its features, like the square holes. In the end, the main question remains unanswered. Why were such titanic efforts made to create an object whose true purpose is completely unknown to us today? The mystery of Masuda is a question of why. But what if we go to a place where we have a rough idea of what the stones were for, but absolutely cannot understand how they were going to be used? In a Lebanese quarry, more than half a kilometer from a grand temple complex, lies a giant that makes us question not the goals of the ancients, but their physical capabilities. There, where the mystery of purpose gives way to the mystery of technology, we will encounter true titans carved from stone. Our journey takes us to the Lebanese city of Baalbek, a place where history is layered like the pages of an ancient book. On the surface, we see the majestic ruins of the Roman Temple of Jupiter, one of the grandest in the empire. But if you look closely at its foundation, the Roman masonry gives way to something much older and more inexplicable. The temple's foundation is built of stone blocks of such colossal size that their presence here seems like a miracle. The Romans, who called this city Heliopolis, built upon a foundation laid long before them. Perhaps by the Phoenicians who lived here earlier, or, as some legends say, by order of King Solomon, who knew this place as the city of Baalath. Whoever these first builders were, they possessed technologies that stump modern engineers. The true scale of their ambitions becomes clear not at the temple itself, but in a quarry located about a kilometer away. There, in eternal silence, lies a giant known as the Abandoned Stone, or the Stone of the South. It is the largest processed monolith ever created by man. Its dimensions are stunning, almost 17 meters long, 6 meters wide, and 5.5 meters high. Partially embedded in the ground, scientists estimate its weight to be at least 1,650 tons. This stone was almost completely carved out of the rock mass and prepared for transport, but for some unknown reason, it was left right where it was born. It is here that the question, why, gives way to the deafening question, how? How did ancient engineers plan not only to cut this block, but also to move it such a distance, and then lift it to install it in the temple wall? Even the most powerful modern cranes struggle with such tasks, requiring complex preparation and coordination. And we are talking about an era when, according to the official version, the only tools were levers, rollers, and the muscle power of thousands of people. Any calculation shows that traditional methods simply would not have worked here. And to dispel any doubt that this was just a one-time mistake or a case of gigantomania, one only needs to return to the temple. In its western wall, 3 blocks, known as the Trilithon of Baalbek, are already in place. Each weighs about 800 tons and is fitted to its neighbors with incredible precision. This proves that moving and installing such megaliths was not an impossible dream for these builders, but a refined technology. Baalbek makes us doubt the physical capabilities of ancient civilizations. It shows that their engineering art reached heights we cannot explain. But technology is not just about brute force. In the high Andes Mountains, on the other side of the world, there is a monument that speaks of a completely different level of knowledge. It attests to incredible precision in stone carving and deep knowledge of astronomy and symbolism, left to us by a civilization that vanished without leaving a single written record behind. From the titanic power of Baalbek, which challenges our ideas of physical capabilities, we travel to the other side of the planet, to the Altiplano High Plateau in Bolivia. Here, in the thin air, at an altitude of almost 4,000 meters above sea level, on the shores of the sacred Lake Titicaca, lie the ruins of the ancient city of Tiwanaku. This place holds a different kind of mystery, the mystery of lost knowledge and an entire civilization that has vanished into oblivion. The central monument of this dead city is the Gate of the Sun, a silent message carved in stone. It is not just an arch, but a single portal carved from a single block of gray andesite, an incredibly hard volcanic rock. It stands almost 3 meters high, 4 meters wide, and is estimated to weigh about 15 tons. But the main thing here is not its size, but what is depicted on it. The entire upper part of the gate is covered with a highly complex bas-relief, consisting of 48 mysterious figures. 32 of them have human features, and 16 have the heads of condors. All of them, as if in a procession, face a central, dominant figure, a man holding staffs, likely symbolizing rain and lightning. His head is surrounded by rays, which unmistakably points to his solar, divine nature. This is the supreme deity, the creator god, the key to understanding the entire cosmology of this culture. So what is this message? Scientists still haven't reached a consensus. One of the most common theories is that the Gate of the Sun is nothing less than a complex astronomical calendar, reflecting the movement of celestial bodies with astonishing accuracy. Others see it as a sacred portal through which priests communicated with the world of the gods. The greatest mystery lies not only in the gate itself, but in its creators. The Tiwanaku civilization was one of the most significant in pre-Columbian America. During its peak, between 500 and 900 AD, the city had up to 20,000 inhabitants and was the center of a vast empire. Their influence spread for hundreds of kilometers, and many of their gods and customs were later adopted by the Incas. And for all this power, this culture left behind not a single written source. They were a silent civilization, whose history, knowledge, and beliefs were encoded exclusively in stone. And there is plenty of evidence of their incredible skill here. Not far from the gate lie the ruins of the Pumapunku complex, another marvel of ancient technology, where giant blocks of diorite and andesite are worked with such precision, with such perfectly smooth surfaces and complex geometric cuts that it seems impossible without the use of machine tools. Tiwanaku is the mystery of a lost culture and its complex, almost incomprehensible knowledge. Here we see, completed, though not understood by us, masterpieces. But what if we go to a place where the design was so grandiose that it was left unfinished? In China, a project of such colossal scale awaits us that it makes us question not only the technology of the ancients, but the very sanity of its creators. There, we will encounter the classic explanation for all such finds. The builders simply made a mistake and overestimated their abilities. But one look at these megaliths will make anyone doubt such a simple excuse. From the encoded knowledge of Tiwanaku left by a silent civilization, we move to China, to a place that raises the bar of impossibility to a whole new level. 15 kilometers from Nanjing, the ancient capital of the Celestial Empire, lies the Shan Quarry. Here, amidst the silence and greenery, lie three unfinished megaliths whose scale makes one question not just the technology of the past, but the very logic and sanity of their creators. If the giants of Baalbek and the precise calculations of Tiwanaku posed difficult questions, the Shan Quarry presents a puzzle bordering on the absurd. Here rest three colossal blocks, carved from the rock mass, each intended to be part of a single structure. The smallest of them weighs about 6,000 tons. On its surface, you can see protrusions strikingly similar to those found on megaliths in Peru and Egypt, as if hinting at a single, forgotten technology. The next largest block weighs approximately 9,000 tons, and is considered the longest processed megalith in the world. If it could have been lifted and set upright, it would have surpassed the Statue of Liberty in height. But even these giants pale in comparison to the third monolith. Its weight is estimated at a staggering 16,000 tons. At 30 meters long, 16 meters high, and 13 meters thick, it is almost 10 times heavier than the largest stone from the Baalbek quarry. If the stone in Lebanon made us doubt the capabilities of the ancients, the Shan megalith translates that question into a completely different dimension. Official history offers us a simple and, at first glance, logical explanation. In the early 15th century, the Yongle emperor of the Ming dynasty, the same one who built the Forbidden City in Beijing, allegedly ordered a giant stele to be carved here in honor of his deceased father. The three blocks were to be its base, body, and crown. But, as this version goes, in the process of working, the builders realized they had made a mistake. They had simply overestimated their abilities, and realized they could not even move, let alone lift such gigantic stones. And the project was abandoned. This is the convenient explanation we hear every time we talk about unfinished megaliths of antiquity. It's become a universal template, conveniently applied to all uncomfortable finds, requiring no further investigation. But can one seriously believe that engineers capable of designing and erecting grand palace complexes and temples could make such a fatal error in basic calculations? This isn't a small margin of error. It's a miscalculation by a factor of tens. It's like building a ship 1,000 times heavier than the water it can displace and calling it a slight overestimation of their abilities. One glance at these blocks and the quarry itself is enough to understand. The official version raises far more questions than it answers. All the megaliths we have examined so far are out in the open. Scientists argue about them, enthusiasts study them, and tourists visit them. They are part of our visible, albeit mysterious history. But what if the greatest secret, the most incredible clue to unlocking the past, is not just difficult to explain, but is literally hidden from us? Our final dive will not be into history, but into the depths of the ocean, to an object whose very existence official science prefers to ignore, as if it never existed at all. From the grandiose but unfinished project at the Shan Quarry, which calls into question the logic of official history, we make our final and deepest dive. We leave behind the stones that lie on the surface of the earth, and journey to a mystery hidden beneath the ocean waves. In 1986, off the coast of the small Japanese island of Yonaguni, the southernmost in the Ryukyu archipelago, a local diver accidentally made a discovery that could rewrite all of ancient history. On the ocean floor, just a few meters underwater, he found not just a rock formation, but a giant stone structure that looked more like a sunken city than a random creation of nature. What was revealed to researchers surpassed all expectations. Before them was a monumental complex carved from a single piece of rock. This was not a pile of random stones. The structure displayed stunning geometric precision. Perfectly flat terraces descending in steps, staircases with carved steps, and platforms with right angles and straight edges. It all looked as if it had been created from a deliberate blueprint. Some elements of the complex resembled an amphitheater, others a gate or an altar. In one place, you can even make out something that looks like a giant face carved into the rock. This entire underwater city is made of monolithic rock, hard sandstone, which would be impossible to work with such precision without serious and complex tools. Immediately, the main question arose: what is this? And here opinions were divided, revealing a deep rift between official science and alternative researchers. Most academic geologists and archaeologists were quick to declare that the Yonaguni monument is merely a natural phenomenon. They argue that the straight lines and flat plains were created by natural geological processes, erosion, and the movement of tectonic plates. But this version crumbles when faced with reality. How could nature create symmetrical structures and perfect right angles? How could random processes carve out steps and platforms that so closely resemble man-made structures? The alternative version seems far more logical. Yonaguni is the remains of an unknown ancient civilization, whose city or temple complex ended up underwater. This could have happened as a result of a powerful cataclysm, such as an earthquake that caused the land to abruptly sink. If this is true, the structure must be thousands of years old, as it would have had to be built when this part of the seabed was still dry land, perhaps at the end of the last ice age. But the most astonishing thing about the Yonaguni story is not the debate over its origin, but the deafening silence that surrounds it. Decades after its discovery, this object remains virtually unknown to the general public. There are no large-scale international expeditions, no museum exhibits, no major scientific announcements. It's as if it has been cut out of history itself, ignored as an inconvenient fact. This information blackout makes one wonder. Maybe someone simply doesn't want us asking too many questions? Yonaguni poses the last, most important question of our journey. What if, hidden under the water, there really are traces of a civilization that existed thousands of years before our textbooks say? What if all these megaliths, Masuda, Baalbek, Tiwanaku, Shan, are not separate scattered puzzles, but surviving fragments of one large, lost picture of the world, whose main key lies in the depths of the ocean? Our journey through the greatest mysteries of antiquity is coming to an end. And it is here, in the silence of the ocean depths off the coast of Yonaguni, that all the scattered questions merge into one. We began our journey in Japan, at the stone ship of Masuda, where we faced the mystery of purpose. Why create such a complex object whose goal is completely incomprehensible to us? Then, in Baalbek, Lebanon, we were stunned by the question of technology. How could ancient engineers move stone titans whose weight challenges the capabilities of even modern machinery? In the high Andes, at the Gate of the Sun in Tiwanaku, we touched upon the mystery of lost knowledge. The legacy of a silent civilization that encoded complex astronomical and cosmological concepts in stone. After that, the Yangshan Quarry in China showed us the limit where mystery turns into absurdity. An unimaginable scale of a project that makes standard explanations of builder's error simply ridiculous. And finally, our investigation concluded with a dive into the mystery of a hidden history. The underwater monument of Yonaguni, an object ignored by official science as if it doesn't exist. Each of these megaliths is not just a separate puzzle. Together, they form a single picture that points directly to one undeniable fact. Our standard, schoolbook understanding of the ancient world is incomplete, and possibly fundamentally wrong. The familiar ideas of linear human progress, of primitive ancestors slowly moving from stone axes to the wheel, crumble under the weight of these stone giants. These objects are irrefutable proof that in the distant past, there were civilizations or cultures that possessed knowledge and technologies we can neither explain nor replicate today. They silently testify to the existence of a forgotten chapter in human history. And this brings us to the final, most important question that each of these stones asks. Maybe ancient civilizations weren't more primitive than us, but simply different. What if their path of development followed a completely different vector, based on principles that our modern technocratic civilization has missed or forgotten? What else is hidden from us beneath the ground we walk on, and in the waters of the world's oceans? These stones do not give ready answers, but they do something much more important. They force us to doubt, to search, and to think for ourselves. And perhaps the most important lesson these silent guardians of time teach us is the need to ask questions, and never accept at face value the simple and convenient picture of the world that is offered to us. After all, the greatest discoveries always begin with a doubt.